Well, it is time for 62 MAS number 2. This one looks to be in, loom-wise, it's in better condition. Yeah, this is a nice watch. A nice watch. Okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is a nice watch. It's original, good shape. Nope, I'm a fan. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, good. Yeah, it's a nice one. Case back seal is just hard as anything. Nah, I've seen harder. Nice thing about that is it shows it's original. You might have a little pitting right in there. Right here. This can be a little pitting. It's not going to be a huge amount, and the main sealing surface looks good, so I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. I've seen far, far worse. All right. Original. There. Somebody's been in here before. You got some marks. I don't know why there'd be marks around that, but somebody's fooling around with it. people ask me why I do this way, and you know, it's just habit. I think maybe something a long time ago, many years ago, gave me the idea that pulling the balance with the balance still in the case and everything else like that protected the edges. I don't know, something must have gone wrong a very long time ago, and I started doing it for this reason. It's not the normal way to do it, so clearly it was something I came up with. But I do it. This is how I do it. Don't feel like you have to do it like me. Because clearly the most important thing is to get everything out in one piece without damaging it, and however you manage to come up with a way to do that, the better. So what I'm doing here is this is an old enough style watch that it has a separate, the movement ring is the movement ring spring, and the whole thing is secured to the movement with these casing screws, which is serious old school. That's some old school stuff. Get out. Out. There we go. See? And so there, you can just pull that ring. Isn't that nice? Put that in the casing material. And now, here's your case. There's your watch. I'm going to put the case to one side for now. I'm going to do what I should have done when the watch was still inside the movement, and I'm going to set everything to the same area. Yeah, I can feel your keyless works are skipping. That's kind of typical. These do that sometimes, and that can be dealt with. Strange. Okay. Let's rip those hands off there. Gosh darn static electricity. Got to be careful about that. That's gotten me a couple times doing this. Like probably, God, it had to have been more than 10 years ago. I lost a red chronograph hand off a true Pogue. And because it stuck to this stuff. And I never found it. I never found it. In theory, it's still in the house somewhere. Never found it. And there's the last hand. Let's get that out of there. Again, see that magnificent static electricity. And move those over there. Now let's get that dial off. This again, this is old school. You've got these side screws that hold everything in place. Sorry if you can't see this, I apologize. No, back those out enough. Out. Out. Yeah, I don't think I backed it out enough. Come on, let's go. Let's go. There we go. Okay, so there you go. Here's your date. February of 1967. And there's our movement. So with these old school movements, these 6200 series are built the old way, where the dial and the calendar elements are held in place by the dial. So the dial is an actual, like, more than decorative. It's an actual functional piece of the mechanism. It acts upon it in such a way. Okay, let's do it. Okay, an opinion gone. Loose. Loose, loose, loose. I might as well get that one while I'm in here. Come on. You don't have to take that little screw out. It's for the minute wheel bridge. But I'm going to take it out anyway, because it needs to be taken out. Plink. Put that over with the dial in the hands. Yeah, old school. Shepherd's crook springs. Seiko did away with all of that. One of the smarter pieces of cost saving that they did, simplifying production. Why have multiple parts that you need different kinds of manufacturing? You have one part that's stamped out that has... This has a... What the hell? That is a minute wheel for 6217 world time. It's got the extra gear on the top of it. For a 24-hour. That's crazy. What's that doing in there? Well, that's cool. You don't see that very often. Okay, now I'm going to leave... Yeah. It's not held firmly enough. I rip apart these keyless works off camera, and that's what I'm going to do here, because I want to make sure I'm right on top of it. Well, let me get this dia shock out of here. Die shock spring. Die shock fixture. Good. Loose. Those were both loose. That's kind of wild. Well, it looks okay. But we'll see when I finish ripping it apart. Loose. 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 Interesting. Unlike your last one, you'll notice this one has the original stainless steel in here rather than that brass one that was in the other one. Still wondering about that. There we go. Hey, it's clean. Yeah, it's pretty worn too. Actually, I'm gonna have to work on that one. I have to pull that and work on it. Fourth wheel. Third wheel. Escape wheel. Meh. I wouldn't call it loose, but I wouldn't call it tight either. Wait, what's that? Huh, look at that. Somebody was having some fun ripping that apart. There's actually some metal damage there. I'm going to have to look at that. Somebody had some real fun with that one. Center wheel. Inside of your barrel. Come on, out we get. Come on, there we go. Mainspring arbor. It'll take me a second to untangle. Sometimes they come out beautifully in one piece, and sometimes you have to be a little more careful. They unwrap on their own. There. There's your mainspring. I'll clean that and tune it. Okay, so there's going to be a bunch of other things I have to do. I got to rip this crown apart. I got to do the keyless works. And I want to be on, I need to be on top of that when I'm doing those. So that's the next thing. So I'm going to rip this thing down to the last pieces, but then I'm going to clean it and come back together probably with the numbers unless I hit something really strange. So there it is in pieces, all apart. Cool. Thought you might dig this. Always fun to get to the good stuff. I don't know, this one, somebody might have taken this one in the water. I mean, it's in good shape, but I think this was a living watch. So I'm gonna have some hand cleaning for sure, and some corrosion remediation for sure. because I have to go in and all this stuff, anything like this, I've got to get all that out by hand with basically dental tools. I have to use repeated chemical treatments and then literal physical removal in order to get that stuff out of there. It doesn't mean much for you because of how we're doing this deal, but I simply wanted to be aware of what's going on with this watch. Cool. Okay, so this watch, I've gone through and I've cleaned everything. What I'm here talking about is I'm talking about some of the pitting that's left over from whoever owned this thing, got it deep in the salt and then just left it there. It didn't have very many hours on it, but it got some salt stuck in some places, and believe it or not, stainless steel will rust. So we're looking at little pits here. I'm just showing this so that you see it, so you know what it is and you can see the inside of your watch there. Most serious stuff is right here. That's the most serious pit right there. The crystal is still going to be over this spot, but this sealing surface is compromised. Basically, don't go diving with this watch. I'm sure it's fine for basic stuff, but I wouldn't expose it to water, but that's me. It had some minor pitting in the case back. You can see it there around the edges. See that, those dark marks? But I've gone through and I physically removed all the corrosion I could reach. I then chemically treated everything that was left. It got a little bit, this is the channel for the wire that holds in the retaining spring that holds in the rotating ring. Your rotating ring spring, the bezel, the rotating ring on this, if you remember these, it didn't rotate at all. It was rusted on there solid. Thankfully, that rust wasn't enough that it expanded and split your ring, which can happen, but it did destroy your original spring, retaining spring. It rusted right through on that point. So I'm going to need to make a new one of these because the aftermarkets simply aren't a thing. They just don't exist. So I'll make one and that'll be great. Yeah, it was serious. Like your crown, it took me real work because this thing was rusted closed. It took me real work to get this open. That little spacer block under there should come out, but it's firmly set in place and I can't get it out. It doesn't affect your water resisting capabilities at all. That's held by the gasket, which I'm replacing in your crown tube, which is fine. So anyway, that's where we're at now. I'm going to start putting the movement back together. Okay, so there's the 62 MAS number 2. It's been running in for about 3 minutes. So I've not looked at the numbers. I have no idea what we're going to get. It's always a surprise. Like the last one, I'm going to go 54.5. So let's see. Literally no idea. Well, that's a good starting point. Now let's see if I can do a quick adjustment here on the fly. Actually, it's not a quick adjustment. Let me just adjust this. Not really going to be able to see what I'm doing, but first I'm going to get rid of that B error. First, I'm going to get rid of that B error. I'm going to try to make this longer. So I'm taking the arm with the stud in it and I'm moving it. Okay. Well, with the idea being that if I move it the way I did, it effectively lengthens the hairspring while it's removing the beat error, which also drops the rate, which you'll notice is pretty solid. It's not often that I get a one shot. There it is. I mean, granted, it's losing a little, but it's been running for just a handful of minutes now. These are such great movements. They're such great movements. I'll take a 6200 series over a high beat 6159 any day of the week. The 6200 series in good condition can be every bit as accurate. That might be a slight exaggeration, but yeah, baby. You might be hearing the rain in the background. Very cold, very rainy day. Yeah. Now we may see this rate begin to drop, but that's not a big deal. I mean, I can adjust that out. But as the amplitude goes up, the balance is going to swing farther each way, which effectively lengthens the second, how long a second is. So you start getting this drop. It happens sometimes. 268, huh? We're probably going to see it. No, I was 100% wrong. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not going to bother adjusting this to flat yet. I want it to run in. These are excellent first numbers. There's no reason for me to fiddle with this right now. There aren't many things in the world that are better than watching the numbers. Gotta watch the numbers. Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to let this thing run in. I'm going to go and look at your dial in your hands and stuff like that. And there we are. Isn't it a beauty? Of course, you already knew that. Gorgeous watch. Just the right amount of wear. Really nice looking. Wear it without fear. I don't know, there's not much else to say. It cleaned up beautifully. The movement was nice. The dial and hands came out great. The nice thing about this Dynalume, this green Dynalume, is that it still glows. That's original. That's original loom. That's a Dyny thing. I don't know why the green Dynalume glows like it does, but it does. It's one of the cooler kind of things about 62 MASs, is that they'll still glow this much longer. It's, you know, they don't necessarily stay that way forever, but that's a nice watch. So, thank you very much.